you doing, guys? I got a treat for you today. Set number 76269 has 5,201 pieces and a retail price of $500 and comes with 30 minifigs, which include Hulk, but not including the Ant-Man micro figure and dummy because, let's be honest, there have been so many dummy builds and that ain't a minifig. Despite that, the minifig count is still impressive. The box art on the side is so nice that I even cut it out and used it for my background. Inside, there are 39 large bags, 3 huge instruction manuals, one being super thick, and on the back they have the Stark Tower logo getting damaged and turned into an A for the Avengers Tower, which is really cool. In the first manual, it talks about the designers like Mark Stafford, who made the T-Rex Rampage set, one of my favorites. The Leviathan was made by Junya Suzuki, Justin Ramsden, who's made so many iconic sets from the airport battle for Civil War all the way to the beloved Spider-Man bridge, which is very expensive now. Regret not buying that when it came out. And Mark Tranter, who is the graphic designer. The manuals also have quotes or descriptions of certain things that you're working on to kind of help break up the build. 2 sticker sheets with an overwhelming amount of stickers, which some of these could have been prints that I'll get into later, and a plastic sheet with 2 accessories. From building, I noticed that LEGO's getting really good at making furniture like this table, and a summary of the entire build can pretty much be seen in this one bag. From counting the frame and window pieces all together, they make up 538 pieces, which I get because it's such a tall business building, so I'm not really upset, and there's no way around it. It's actually kind of nice to see quick change with all these tall pieces, while other sets you have small pieces, and it kind of takes a while before anything gets started. So just kind of consider the piece count being most of that being the windows and the frame. There's a gap where you have smashed windows, a similar concept like in the Daily Bugle, and it's really nice to see. As you could peep inside, and there's the 2 Captain Americas fighting, so the placement's just perfect. Bag 12 has no window pieces, so I was like, finally! Each floor has this tile build that sort of help locks it into the next floor, as it's kind of structurally sound horizontally and vertically, so thought that was cool. Sometimes the window pieces are kind of hard to grab as well. They would also have you build 2 bags at once with different numbers, which is odd because I was like, why not just name them the same number? The jet is really well made for its size and gets lots of nice angles. In the back of this elevator, there's a hidden mug. Once you get to the curved part, the build has some wild snot techniques. This piece came bent, so that was really a bummer on the quality control. And speaking on quality control, LEGO should be embarrassed. The amount of window pieces scratched because they don't have better packaging is unexcusable. And for a premium product at this price, it's really my biggest issue with this set. Some more interesting building techniques. When building the lounge, it will often wobble as you build it, so maybe have a makeshift surface that'll keep it stable. Here's a look at the 2-piece technique to get a curve on the roof, which is just plain genius. First up is 4 Chitauri warriors, where 2 of them don't have laser guns, which I kind of think they should all have it, but that's just my opinion. 3 shield agents, one being Tony Stark, and I like that it has the shield logo, so they're not too generic, but specifically used for Marvel. 2 Captain Americas, who are almost identical, but the face prints and the helmet and the hair are different, but they have been used in other sets. And still, no dual mold for those boots. Mark 6 is completely new and currently exclusive to the set. I say currently because look what might happen to Captain Rex. Let's be real. Mark 6 is one of my favorite figs in this set. The battle damage is so cool, and the level of detail is remarkable. War Machine is a reuse from the Armory set, which is a bummer, but a nice fig, and he was in the tower, so I get it. 2 things that are not minifigs are the Ant-Man, who's nice to have, and Dummy, who's pretty posable. Wasp could definitely benefit from leg printing, which people have done with a custom leg, so I might even do that. If you could look past that, I surprisingly really like the helmet print, and those wings are pretty amazing, and no microfig, which is kind of a bummer. Here are some of the lame reuses. Wong doesn't really make any sense. I get having a Tony Stark with no armor, but I'm so tired of getting so much of the same fig with the Black Sabbath shirt. Can he at least have a different shirt? Same with Pepper Potts. Wanda has a nice waist cape piece. I'm looking at you, LEGO Star Wars, and no leg printing. I also prefer the darker hair color, which is more accurate, and there's no Quicksilver. That's another one of my least favorite things about this set. Black Widow has arm printing, which is now in the other sets, which it shocked me because I was like, Lego Marvel with extra printing? Am I in the right multiverse? Thor and Loki were used in the Quin-jet set as well, but the new Loki still looks really good, and that helmet is the same shape, but sort of a different material compared to 2012. Thor looks nice, but he could have used leg printing. I like that gunmetal gray for his arms, and also that Ninjago lightning piece looks so good with his hammer, really could put to good use since the Spider-Man set. Some new currently exclusive figs are Eric Selvig, Alexander Pierce, and Kevin Feige, and Dr. Cho, who are really nice for the Avengers storyline. Pierce has the same suit piece from Gringotts, and Selvig, I feel he should have had blue eyes to show that he's hypnotized, but a missed opportunity. Oh well. Kevin is a funny inclusion, but still welcome, and I get they can't have Stanley, so I applaud them for at least getting Kevin, who's pretty accurate, and we got that new cool Avengers hat. Big Fig Hulk with new gray colored pants and a removable head and hair, which I'm pretty sure will bring in some cursed customs from Just Too Good. No toe printing, which the older model even had, so kind of lost some points there, but again, nice to have the removable head. Hawkeye and Falcon share the same leg print as Black Widow, and I think the reuse was clever by Lego as they save money, but the figs still look good, so better than no printing. Hawkeye's face is a little generic compared to the CMF, but you could swap it out or just say that he's younger. Falcon has great printing on himself, but come on Lego, you could have made this a great fig by printing the wings like in the CMF. Now, I saved the best for last, Ultron and Vision. When seeing the blurry box art, I was like, okay, a lots of reuses, bummer, but I still like the set. And then I saw the Vision, and he blew my mind. From the plastic cape, where the Lego lettering can be hidden, to the vibrant colors like teal, to the printing, and of course, the transparent legs. Probably one of the best Marvel figs of all time. Ultron has awesome continuous torso printing and leg printing with the wires, but I kind of miss the old transparent head from the playset, but it's still nice to have Ultron again. Tony Stark also has his Mark 7 in its deployed form that you can attach onto him. Here's a comparison to some Avengers minifigs from 2012. I just think it's so cool to see how they've changed over time and sort of what stayed the same. I remember how excited I was when these figs first came out, and building this set kind of brought me back to that time, and pretty crazy how some old stuff looks better than the new stuff and vice versa. Like, I still prefer the old Iron Man helmet, and the new Hawkeye does have that goofy 2012 hairpiece. The set comes with some smaller builds like the Leviathan, who has a pretty nice transparent display. I believe it's from the Mario sets too. The detail with all the scales and the long rib cage, which is very posable with all the ball joints to make. It looks very organic, and all the gold pieces are really nice to have. It can sort of break pretty easily, so watch out for that. And the gaping mouth is so cool with some hints of purple. The way they designed it, it almost gives me like the Alien movie vibes, so amazing job on this build. I also like how this part covers the gap while you move the head. It is a little small than I would have liked it, but it's still really nice to get a Leviathan. The Quin-jet was mentioned earlier, but I like how compact it is. The cockpit can only hold Nick Fury because he's bald, but I wish it could also fit Black Widow or Hawkeye, as they're the main ones that are flying it. It also has a well-hidden crate to store stud shooters for the jet. It's kind of odd to have shield stickers for an Avengers Tower, but they still look nice, and it has wheels to play around with. The wingtips or winglets, which are foldable, which are not movable in most real-world cases until pretty recently with the Airbus and the Boeing 777X. It can reduce the wingspan by folding to make it smaller and easier to land in normal landing docks. I found this through the source Simple Flying. I also love how light and swooshable it is, even more so than the Yoda's Jedi Starfire, which is saying something. In the back, there are two turbojet engines, which can move a little bit. A turbojet produces thrust by taking in air through an opening, like in this Lego Quin-jet. Inside, there's a fan that makes the air move faster. The air is then compressed, making it easy to mix with fuel due to the air's high pressure and temperature, which makes particles move faster and more likely to bump into each other, creating more reactions in a smaller space. This generates a gas that is burned in a combustion chamber and mixed with fuel. It flows and turns a turbine that uses the air for energy for that compressor, and quickly it's pushed back, generating thrust, and according to Newton's third law, if there's a force in one direction, there's an equal and opposite force making the jet move forward. This info was found through the source flyajetfighter.com. A newer version is a turbofan, with one of many differences being its ability to move the compressor and the fan through the use of the turbine. I also like the build for the rotors embedded in the ship. The two Chariots are the same build in the front, but the part in the back is different. I really like all the angles that they were able to get with the ball joints, and I really like the use of the movable piece to have Loki stand, and he looks really cozy inside. On the first floor, there is some general street builds like a trash can with a printed bubblegum wrapper, surprisingly not a sticker, and a new shawarma print. Also some gum under the bench, which I'm sure Elf would love, a memorial of the Avengers battle against the Chitauri, a pager for Captain Marvel, and these are called bollards, which I had to look up, but they're used to stop a car from smashing into a building pretty much, and it even has some technique to replicate that real life function. I also really like the use of the slope pieces off to the side of the steps, two side doors that no longer have that big plastic beam, as it used to be two pieces to make up the door, and it was kind of common on older modulars. And speaking of modulars, it can connect to the other ones through the Technic pins and the holes on the side. On the back, you get Lego's favorite box build, along with the trash can that was also used in the Daily Bugle. The contents inside are different, being a pin particle from Endgame, some grass, and shawarma and a wrapper. There is a back door that leads into the building that has an exhibit honoring Captain America that showed up in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and a similar sign that appears in the Sanctum Sanctorum set. Before we look inside, some of the exterior has the broken windows that I mentioned earlier. It can be kind of tricky to put Hulk on, so I start with this hand and then connect the rest after. Lots of transparent curved blue pieces, which some even have hidden details like the Rolling Stone picture of Tony Stark, and the repetitive use of the window pieces is pretty glaring, especially in the back. There are many Technic connections placed throughout to place minifigs, chariots, whatnot with the new transparent curve piece. They use a very clever use of hinge pieces to get that long curve. The large curve build here can have you pose the Iron Man Mark 7, flying in to save a falling Tony Stark. If you want to look inside, you just pull this whole piece out and it's not connected, which is very similar to the roofing build on the A-frame cabin, which Justin Ramsden also made. Putting it in is pretty easy. I push the top part with the gaps and then slide the whole thing in. Inside the first floor, there's a good mix of studs and tiles to pose, and it still looks good. Two simple seat builds, a very fun vending machine build where the bottles don't even connect, which it reminds me of kind of that Power Miner build. However, it's kind of hard to see because that design's kind of hidden in the back. Transparent stud in the middle piece like the related GWP, and a generic computer, along with the Daily Bugle elevator build, which will be seen on most of the other floors, and a Tesseract using a Minecraft head, which looks better compared to that 2012 version, but it's still a little large. The thing that I didn't see in the movie, and I believe it's a mail chute, which is a device that makes it easy to transport mail quickly to any level of a large building. And a little fun fact that I found from the source Atlas Obscura, written by Luke Spencer, is that these chutes were invented by James Gould Cutler in 1883. And the former building of Marvel Comics named McGraw-Hill in New York City had these chutes, and they would often get clogged due to the large volume of mail. You know what else was in New York City, fictionally? The Avengers Tower. So they're sort of correlating there. Honestly, one of the most random but coolest Easter eggs ever. Again, it shows how much love went into this set. On the second floor, it has a gorgeous and clever build for the glass bridge, and nice storytelling with the broken glass and Captain America's tube side, as described by Lego. This bridge occurred as the two Captain Americas duked it out in Endgame. It's pretty easy to remove so you can get more room in the back, with a nice Easter egg to Ultron and Jarvis having some conflict, and a medical bench which has had many characters like Hawkeye, Ultron, and Vision. And a printed medical piece which was kind of cool, and Vision's Mind Stone. There's also a small table where it shows that Mark 7 is being deployed. On the third floor, this is where Lego took some creative liberties, as we don't really see what's on most of the floors. But it sort of makes sense, as he probably would have a room for his Iron Man. Here, the dummy sort of breaks off when you're posing him. The proof that Tony Stark has a heart arc reactor, Ultron, Pepper Potts' rescue armor with the 3000, referencing the daughter saying she loves her dad 3000, which is very cute. a fire extinguisher, which is a big Lego staple, and Roxxon being the inverse energy company, which I'm not going to pretend I really know from the comics, but it's had tie-ins from most things like Daredevil, Miles Morales game, and a brief reference in Loki Season 1. And a place to put your Iron Man fig on display. The drawer has some storage as well, like a cookie and money. On the fourth floor, it's definitely more to honor the Avengers movie rather than the tower, as this took place on the helicarrier. It can open and store a fig like Loki, which is pretty cool, but it would have been nice to have like an Iron Legion factory where you could put Ultron. The doors also don't open all the way. Arnim Zola, as he uploaded his consciousness and Winter Soldier, and Iron Man newspaper. And some hard to see stickers, but they're funny as Hulk didn't really like stairs from the movie. And a nice Technic build in the back as we get ready to support the higher floor. The two pieces for the railing are so nice, and they help make sure the Quin-jet doesn't roll off when moving the tower. The Avengers logo is really nice with the light blue shading, and the angles on the back here are done through some nice techniques and kind of make up another A shape. And on the back, there's a nice bird perched up. The big window pieces are really elegant. I love how they made a slight angle here through a pin connection. Now, my favorite floor is the lounge. I love having a building with just so much room for your minifigs. Inside, you have some built couches and usually hold two figures, and of course, Thor's hammer to see who is worthy. Two TVs, one showing the Avengers scrolling online, showing the Avengers initials, and the Hydra one made me laugh. And the other one's like a news report. And I really like the bar in the back, and surprised how many bars we've gotten lately, from that train to this set. And I will keep dying on this hill, but I want a cheer set. And yes, there is more. The roof here lines up really nicely with the curved pieces. Both of these can be removed. Inside shows some of Tony Stark's decorations. The crate stores an Octan battery. Octan being the fictional Lego corporation that started as a gas station as early as 1992 in set number 6397. And a broken floor with Loki imprinted on it as Hulk slams the puny god around. The Avengers comic from 1963, made by people such as Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, which includes characters like Wasp, which explains why they're in here. Too bad no OG Iron Man suit in yellow. That would have been awesome. On sort of the last floor, we have a nice balcony with a ladder and a random circular stud for some reason. This tiled part opens up and it's pretty heavy, so I suggest putting it all the way up, where we find a room scanning Loki's scepter, which took place on the helicarrier as well. On the roof, you have the machine that Hypnotized Selvig made to open up a portal for the Chitauri army, and it's a pretty ridiculous build, but I like how weird it is. Spider-Man's not included in this set, but it's great to have him swing from such a great height. Here's what all the minifigs look like when posed with the transparent pieces provided. I also got carried away and bought a bunch of Outriders that aren't in the movie, but I thought it'd be really fun to army build, so I think they look really cool. And here are the Avengers in their battle poses along with the Leviathan. Overall, I'm pretty biased as I am a big Marvel fan, and this set's pretty much like the crown jewel. I mean, it's so many things are just awesome about it. And I did mention many reasons why it's not a good set, like fundamentally, so I understand why people don't really like it or they won't pick it up. So if you're a huge Marvel fan, I think this set's amazing, and but I understand why not everyone can get it. And if you're just a casual Marvel fan, I'd say just kind of pick up the Quin-jet set. You could always get the exclusive figs like through Bricklink, eBay, or what have you, sort of like that Mark 6 or a Vision, some of my favorites. Anyway, thanks for watching, and take care.